This is Brian from the Amata World podcast. Anna's not with us today, but she'll be rejoining in a future episode. So I'm here today with Chris White, who is a sound enthusiast and sound producer and AI enthusiast. Welcome, Chris White. Great to have you here.
Brian, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Likewise, pleasure having you. So yeah, maybe you could give a quick introduction to yourself and your background and what you do.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'm a film producer and AI enthusiast, as you mentioned, and I've been producing films for over the course of about 20 years. One of my first films was when I used to work over at MTV and for the network, and we did a made-for-TV movie called My Super Psycho Sweet 16 that was influenced by the Super Sweet 16 reality show. So our idea was how to do a horror spin of, if you've seen those Sweet 16 reality shows, it's the really obnoxiously wealthy rich kids, and they're just very spoiled. So we were like, all right, how can we do it? We could kill them off. So we introduced like a serial killer. And that first movie did really well. We ended up doing 2 more movies. And from there, I went on working over at The Collective, which is a production management company. I oversaw production on VHS 3, which is part of the VHS anthology, with a lot of great directors. And then from there, just moved on, did a few more films. And most recently, just film wise, I'm an executive producer on a film called The Backrooms, which is based on the Reddit. It started in Reddit in regards to the backroom sort of liminal space. And that's something where a young filmmaker, Kane Parsons, my son actually hit me to his YouTube video. And it was already getting a lot of heat. He did his own mythology on it. I thought it was great. He was 17 at the time. That was 2 years ago. So I presented it to some contacts I know, and it happened. Some of those contacts happened to be Atomic Monster, which is owned by James Wan, who's the creator of the Saw series, Conjuring, Insidious, all the big movies. And I sent it to him and his partner, and they flipped out over it and wanted to do a meeting. So, I brought to them, and we're currently in post on that film right now. And Kane would be one of the youngest directors in Hollywood history. He's about, almost 20 right now. And, that has A24 is distributing, 21 Labs, who produces the Stranger Things series. They're behind it as well. And the other project is the Heretiks. It's a witch movie that we're exploring right now how to incorporate, which will lead to, my involvement, how I got into AI. But we're looking to utilize AI to help cut down on some, because it's a low budget film. We have big ambitions, little money, little time. So how can we pull it off? Since we are shooting live action and we do have practical effects and stunt work and VFX, how to bring those costs down. And the way to do that would be by incorporating AI on the post side to help pull off what we need to do. And we're almost there. It's coming pretty good. And in regards to AI, I got into it about 4 years ago or so. That was when Midjourney was pretty much, it was all about really images. Only maybe a few, you had other people who were doing very early versions of video with, Stable to Forum. And from there, I was just hooked. It's just something about it just resonated immediately to me, that even on an image here, you can have an idea in your head of a concept or a world, and you just had to communicate it with AI, and AI would bring it to life. And it was basically like magic almost, where it's like, yeah, this is exactly what I had in my mind. And sometimes when you're collaborating and creating with AI, it's even better. You're like, man, this is even better than I even envisioned. It's like, it's AI, I think, is one of the best creative partners. And that you could deal with. It's pretty much in sync, and a lot of times it has great ideas to really help broaden your own concept even better. It'll say, hey, this is awesome, how about this and this, and it's just a great collaborator. And from there, I knew that once video really started to take off, that was going to be a game changer in the industry, especially the film industry, that it just made so much sense. So I've been, a vocal champion of AI, and I've even early on when everyone now people in the industry are starting to catch up and finally getting to wake up to what this is. But I was advocating for it where no one wanted to listen. Everyone was scared about it. No one wanted to talk about it because it was controversy. Oh, in regards to the actors and everything like that, which is understandable. But as with everything, with actors and all, it all comes down to making sure everyone's compensated. That's all. It's business. People don't really have a problem as long as they know they're protected. So, with which I think, for actors who do lend their likeness or have their likeness licensed, it's an incredible opportunity. It's an opportunity where you have that choice where you don't really have to be on set. You don't have to be anywhere. You just have to approve the script, approve the project, make sure everything's good. If there's any major changes, you just have to have in a contract that the production team and the producers have to come back to you. And and make sure you sign off on everything. But I look at, like, I use Tom Cruise as an example. Let's say if you wanted to use Tom Cruise, he can go and shoot the next Mission Impossible. Yeah, like in regards to if you want to get Tom Cruise, he can go shoot the next Mission Impossible physically, like actually go shoot it like how he's been shooting it. But then he can license his likeness out to like maybe 10 different productions where he doesn't have to be anywhere. He just has to make sure he approves everything. He's good with it. And then look at that. Now instead of spending, let's say 20, 30, 40, or whatever amount that Tom Cruise goes for, let's say it's like $30 million to get him in your movie. Now, if you license it, it's $2 million to have Tom Cruise in your film for $2 million in the likeness, which is great for the film. And you have his likeness, his voice. But then for him, it's just passive income when you think about it. He doesn't have to do anything. Because if you have his voice, as long as you're nailing the performance and everything like that, and I think AI is quickly getting there where performance will be just as perfect and identical as live action, performances, that, for actors, this is a win. And I understand the concerns, but it's not a concern as long as you make sure your deals are right. Make sure your deals are right, your license it, and the money's right. Because at the end of the day, it always comes down to money. That's why there's strikes. That's why people, because they're like, this is going to affect my money situation. That's what it comes down to. And how can I be protected? So as long, and we're, and everything is getting there to make sure everyone is, there's guardrails in place in legalese terms, and, to make sure, look, yes, you'll be protected. That's why, C Dance had a little spank back right now because Hollywood got freaked out with, like, for instance, I know one of the filmmakers who actually did the Tom Cruise Brad Pitt fight that was sort of got everyone on edge. That's Rory Robinson, talented filmmaker, and I know he just did that for fun, but then that really just got everyone like super scared about how easy it is to use likenesses. And I think C-Dance is going to put in some guardrails to prevent that, kind of like what Sora did when Sora 2 came out, and sort of like everyone could use any IP and do it. But I also think that's just a little marketing thing. I don't know. It just seems like because they know what they're doing, but it's good. It's good just to shake the industry up, just to be like, listen, this is here, this is happening, and there's nothing that you're gonna stop it. Like of the not so much of that aspect, but where this is going, and it's only going to get better and better and better. So you might as well embrace it, and of course, just make sure all things are just taken care legally the right way. And again, I don't think anyone has a problem with their likeness being used. They just want to have control to know how their likeness is being used, which again just comes down to paperwork. That just comes down to going, and that goes like with any type of, even a live action movie. You just can't, let's say if Brad Pitt happens to be hanging out at a restaurant and you filming him as part of your movie and keep doing close-up shots without him knowing, well, then you're going to have a problem. He didn't agree to be in your movie because that was just a way of you sneaking him in the movie. You're going to have to work out some sort of deal. So it's the same thing. You know, um, I think everything is moving very quickly. I think we're seeing a lot of new AI production studios that are starting to come together, and some of them, like you have your companies like Promise and Secret Level and Massive Studios, and you got all these different studios that are coming together. And I see like these are the new production studios of the future, of now in the future, because the future is here. Everything is happening very, very, very quickly at a speed. I think now people like everything I've been, hey, this is the way it is for years. Now people are really saying this is happening now. Like this is sort of like get with the program of where this is going. And I look at AI as, look, I know there's concerns about, oh, AI is replacing everyone. It doesn't have to. It depends on how you decide to utilize the tool, right? You don't have to do all AI production. You could do like what we're planning to do on our witch film, and hopefully everything pulls out where you do like a hybrid production. You still shoot traditionally, but you utilize AI to help make for a more efficient film where you could lower down costs. Because if you're a producer, part of your job is how can I save money? That's always on every production. How can I not go over budget? And how can I save money? So why wouldn't you want to utilize a tool? So if yeah, you may not want to go 100% AI, but if this could help cut down on some stunt scenes or action scenes because that all requires, a lot of logistics, live action, or it's going to require tons of VFX and everything like that. That is super costly. Now, no one's saying to get rid of your stunt folks or get rid of your VFX folks, but AI is kind of like that supplemental sort of like, hey, I'm part of the crew too. I'm just here to help make everything a little easier on everyone. We're still employing everyone, right? We still got, like on this movie, we still have our VFX guy. We still have our stunt coordinators, and we're going to have, stunt folks and everything like that. We're still using practical effects, but we're just trying to figure out how can we pull these scenes off where we still use that, but then AI can help supplement the rest of that, and bring it down. So instead, like we have a scene in the movie where one of the kids is like this witch does a spell and first his skin flies off the body, so then it's kind of like Hellraiser. He's like, ah, and then she does like another spell, and then his whole body goes up into flames. And to do a live action, putting someone, lighting someone on fire, and especially since it's indoors, it's in a house, it's super costly. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. Plus, there's safety concerns. No matter how professional your stunt people are, there's always a risk of someone really getting hurt because you're dealing with fire, especially full body, fully engulfed. If you want to, look like if we're, like in Hereditary at the end, boom, like just full, like it's a big, big deal. So if we could pull that off without having to light anyone on fire and utilize like, tools, and we're finding that, it's going to be a blend of techniques. But for example, if we could utilize like Runway's Aleph, which is basically editing, you can edit actual shot footage, and you could change anything you want. One of the other scenes, since we're shooting in the winter and since it's a Halloween film, obviously there's right now in the winter, especially on the East Coast or anything, it's super, it looks like winter. There's no it's the trees don't have the leaves. It looks like winter. Everything's like that. So if you want to sell Halloween, it has to look like autumn. It has to look like the leaves and everything on there. And we can use a program, a model like Runway Aleph, to say, hey, make this autumn now, make this leaves. And we've done the test, and boom, there it is. Now we're, because that's helping to sell, Hollywood and making movies is all about selling the illusion and that of making it believable enough that it sells. And so far what we've been testing sells. It's like, okay, this works. We can work with this, and we don't have to worry about having to, possibly go back. What if it's like, oh, we really need to have autumn, so we're gonna have to wait until it's autumn to shoot this? None of that. Now it's just like, hey, just make a quick adjustment. And sure, it's not as simple as just the prompting itself. I mean, there's a little bit more, especially what we're seeing when incorporating and changing footage, that you still have to do a little more behind the scenes for, massaging to get it really, really right. But the point is like it's the potential and the ability is there. It's right there. Um, it's just a very exciting time, I think, for anyone who's in the film business that say, hey, look, because the model of making $200 million films is it's not sustainable. You look at some films. There's a film called Electric State that I guess the Russo brothers directed. It came to Netflix, and that was like a $300 million dollar production that went straight to Netflix. And Netflix is great, but for a $300 million production, that should be a theatrical. That should be a wide. You're not making that same type of money that on Netflix than you would if you did a wide theatrical, release. So that model, and I think those big budget models are going to be readjusted now with AI. Like Sony had announced maybe last summer or so that they were going to incorporate AI into their film productions to help save costs. Why spend $100 million on a Spider-Man movie if you could spend 40? That just makes more sense, because then the bottom line, especially from a business standpoint, is how can we save money up front so we can make as much money on the back end. The more, because then if you're making $100 million production, then you figure that's also another $80 million in marketing, then everything else that has to match. That's crazy. That's almost 200 million. That means you have to recoup, like, so much more just to break even, and then you have to recoup so much more just to start seeing some money. So why spend? You got, like, Avatar. Even Avatar, even though it does super well, and I'm sure James Cameron, and I know James Cameron's big into AI, and he even spoke about it. And I'm sure for the next productions, especially since we see like Sea Dance and where everything is really heading and how believable it is. He's a smart guy. He knows where this is going. I bet you this next productions are definitely going to incorporate it, because not only is he a talented a filmmaker and one of the best legends that's done it, he's also a businessman. It just makes smart business to incorporate AI into your production, and not just for the big productions, for the indie filmmaker, for the filmmaker who not in Hollywood, or not in Hollywood's not the only big studio around the world. There's plenty of big studios in other countries and everything like that. But you don't have to, there's no more of that gatekeeping, right? To get your big movie, your vision, you would have to hope it gets to Hollywood so it could get that big funding. Now it could be a kid right in his basement or in his room with maybe a buddy, and they can make their big $200 million looking film right there at home. That, because it's all about what's going to win is great storytelling, and there's great, tons of great storytellers. And sometimes when you go the traditional route of Hollywood or these other studios, it's there's a lot that goes to it to navigate. And or a lot of times people don't see your vision. They don't understand it. And then you're sitting there with a script and you're like, no one saw my vision, I'm just sitting on this, and it's too expensive, I can't do it myself. But now you can. How we got Heretiks going is that we had it almost going a couple of times in some good places, but things happen. So eventually, like, I had recommended to our director, I was like, look, I got all the tools. Let's do a trailer so we can help sell this, because then people see exactly what your vision is. It takes all the guesswork out. Especially if you're trying, and when you're going into the studio system, or you're dealing with execs, or you're dealing with people. If you're doing the old school way, yeah, you'll have a lookbook, but you're really hoping that they read the script and that they understand the script and they envision it the way you're envisioning it. And that you never know. Everything is subjective, right? The way one person reads a script may be different than how you read the script. And that's why some scripts get passed on. Like, I remember when I used to work at DreamWorks, American Beauty got passed on all throughout until DreamWorks came in. And then that became like an Oscar contender. So, the whole thing is you never know. But now, like with what we did with Heretiks, when Greg put his trailer together, that took all the guesswork out. That was like, this is the movie. This is it. You hear it, you see it, you feel it. It's better than a lookbook. It's better than this. This is what you're getting. All, what you get and what you would get if you give us some money is going to be 10 times, 100 times even better than this. And this is already awesome. And when the people saw, our producing financing partners saw it, they were blown away. They were like, boom, we get it. We see it. Then, of course, they're like, before that, it was like, we just got to read the script. Now they're excited to read the script because they just want to make sure the script measures up to the trailer. Because at the end of the day, you still have to have a solid script. You have to have a solid story. But it's almost the reverse. Now it's like, show them, boom, wow them, get them excited. Then they read the script. And then as long as the script measures up to what you just showed them, you're good. I think, we just had Roger Arvey, who was the co-writer on Pulp Fiction. He just did a deal with one of the AI studios. And like he was saying, like, trying to get a movie made traditionally is hard. Like every time you get a movie made traditionally, it's a miracle. It's a miracle, and it's something where you're like, I can't believe we're on set. We actually pulled it off. We're doing it because the biggest thing, the hardest thing, is to get money. To get money, like that is the hardest thing, to convince someone to open up their wallet to fund
Yeah.
your vision. You know.
And what's
So
the, I
go
guess,
ahead.
what's the market like now? Because, because you said you're presenting these, the investors with this trailer that looks, really good. Like,
Mm.
and you're still asking them for a lot more money to kind of invest in it. But do you think there is kind of a perception that, you're almost there, so why do you need so much more money? Do you see what I
Well,
mean?
it's not. Again, it depends
Yeah.
on what your approach is, right? Our approach is we want to do a
Right.
hybrid production. So when you're doing a hybrid production, that means you still have to hire actors. You still have to have actual sets. You have to have a real crew. You still have to run like a regular production. The hybrid comes where you're like, okay, in post or in development previs, we're incorporating AI to help cut down on all those costs, and that's just an option, right? Or you can go 100% AI, and then that really makes the cost of whatever you're trying to produce come dramatically down, because you're not going anywhere. You're just doing everything from home, from your computer. You're doing That's a whole different thing. And I do see, especially for performances and the way that AI actors are becoming, and we're getting there. Yes, you can do a full AI production from home for it just comes down to the cost is your time and talent. That's really, and maybe it depends if you what models you're using. Or if you're doing something local, then you're really saving. But if you're outsourcing, let's say, pulling in like third party models like Kling, or utilizing like all in one places like Free Picks, and you get all, it depends. You could be on a CPP program, like I'm part of a CPP program, and it's a money saver because you're granted X amount of hundreds of thousands of free credits where you can just go and create, and that just helps save money. And I'll be honest, like for a movie like Heretiks, it'll be a combination of that and some goodwill in kind credits and anything that will help keep the cost down. But if you don't have that, even if you were to come out of pocket and pay for all that, it's still a fraction of what it would cost to shoot it traditionally. And the thing is, like, when I see people against AI, I'm like, okay, if you're against it, don't use it. Like, carry on and create and shoot or make your art or however you want to do it. Like, no, nothing is stopping you from doing things the way this is just a tool that is an option to help bring stories to life, to help bring down costs or stories to life. The thing is like, and it's an opportunity now that there's so much great talent that I see coming out of the AI space that don't have a traditional AI, filmmaking background, but obviously they have a vision and they know how to tell a story. And at the end of the day, quite honestly, the haters that are come out, that's really a minute. It sounds like it's a loud voice, but it's not. Mainstream audiences don't care how things are made, especially on the film. They just want to be entertained. They just want to, be immersed in the world and make sure everything's believable. As long as you pull that off, because if you look at AI, oh well, there's no soul. Sure, there is. The soul is behind how the people who are putting the emotion into it. If you use performance capture, is no difference than doing a Pixar movie. That's all basically. I look at AI like a real sophisticated CGI that you have that we can control and is way more cost effective than doing CGI. So what's the difference between any animated show that utilizes computers and pixels that still has to emote the emotion, because the person, like, there's no performance capture in Toy Story. That's just all really great, the way that they program and design and everything like that and get the performances out is just as is. It's still animated. It's still a computer. So now all of a sudden it's a problem when it's not. And the thing is, again, it's just an option. No one is forcing. Like, there's this idea that because of AI is going to take away human creativity. Humans are naturally creative beings. That will never go out. There's always still going to be traditional artists and painters and filmmakers. Some filmmakers will never, like Guillermo del Toro. I can see he'll never touch AI. I have a cordial a cordial, I guess more like an email relationship with him. And I had recently tried to, because I know one project he's been trying to get up for a long time, and I just suggested to him in the email because a buddy of mine was at the what was the I forgot the it was some festival in Europe, but he was over there promoting Frankenstein, and my buddy was out there, and I was like, hey, look, maybe we could connect and at least do a previs for this one project that I know is a passion project that you've had. Probably it's the H.P. Lovecraft. That's Guillermo Weird, and it's definitely hard R, and it's $200 million. At least you could see. And someone like Guillermo is just like, with all due respect, thank you, but no, I'd rather die than touch AI. And that's something where I think guys like him, they don't truly understand it. I don't think they're thinking something else because they're thinking the surface level anti AI rhetoric, which is we know it's a lot deeper than that. Sure, if you want to go and make X-Men, you can, ethically, is that correct? No, because you don't have the rights to that. And I guess you could say, yeah, that would be stealing IP in that regards. But and yeah, you should make sure you go through make sure you get the proper permission to utilize that. But when it comes down to it, is like what you're creating is still your original artwork. Like the videos and the art that I do, I know it's 100% Chris White. Like this is my shit. Like this is what I call it. Like it's not like show me. Oh, that's stolen. You're just stealing. Okay, show me where this is from then. Show me, pinpoint who this is from. You can't, because it's 100% original. Like, and if they're like, oh well, the way like OpenAI trains, you know what? Sure, I agree. If they're training off of known artists or whatever, sure, pay them. But that's not my problem. That talk to OpenAI on how shit is trained. I'm just utilizing the tool. I know how I'm using it, and that has nothing to do with me. I just if you talk, I know that everything that I'm putting together is 100. Like even like with the witch trailer, that's 100% from the script. There's nothing that like the look of it, the design of it, everything. Even like with Greg, he already had pre-designs, traditional designs of how the witches look. We just incorporated that and brought it all to life. So again, I think the whole thing with AI is like it's an option. It's simply an option. I mean, but it's also no denying that this is going to be a dominant shift within the industry. And then the people who are utilizing it are going to have an advantage. I mean, that's just where it's at, whether people want to acknowledge it or not.
Yeah. And you say you've been involved with a lot of hybrid productions. You with that, I guess you have to work with like different set of crews, stunt people, and maybe
Yeah.
incorporate actors as well as part of your film. How have they kind of perceived this? Because
Well,
you're
I
obviously
would
all into
say
it, but you
the
see
first
kind of
hybrid, the
yeah.
only hybrid production I would say is this one that we're doing right now.
Okay. Right.
Um,
So how
And
was the experience
I would
pulling
say
that
if they
together?
have a problem with it, well, give us more money and we'll shoot it all right traditional. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like we're
Yeah.
looking to figure out how to pull this movie off as written on page. It's ambitious for the budget. It's the money that we have is less than we were going for originally. But sometimes when money presents itself, you got to just work with the money and try to make it work. And one of the things to help try to pull off everything that we want to do, the only way to really pull it off now that we're able to, because otherwise it would be okay, we have to rewrite the scenes, we have to change a bunch of stuff in order to fit the budget, all those great set pieces. Now we have to rethink it and play it down because we don't have it. Why do that now since we have the tools that we could pull it off if we had the full budget that we really wanted? Now we're able to do it. And if anyone has a problem with it, you know what? Guess what? Then show us some money. Show us some money. Oh, crew person
Mhm.
or this person has a problem with it. Okay, give us more money so we could do it the traditional way. Oh, you don't have that money? Then, be glad you're still getting paid though, right? Everyone on set is getting paid. So who has a problem on how we, want to figure out how to achieve it? That's a personal problem. We're here to make a movie the best way that we can. And we're going to take advantage of these amazing tools that are making that happen. And I think anyone who's get up in their feelings, that's them. um Especially if they ain't put any money into production. and, it's kind of like, one, you're all work for hire, so we're hiring all of you, so you really shouldn't. Why do you care? Like, we still, and again, like in regards to VFX and stunts and makeup, we still utilizing traditional VFX makeup. We're just using AI to help bring those costs down. That's it. So one, it'll be less work for everyone. All those departments, they're still getting paid. They're still, we're not replacing them 100%. We're just saying, hey, this is just going to help so we can pull this off the way that we want to. And, that's it. And I think, again, people, the more it really comes down to, again, how it's utilized. I think, like, when people see like hybrid productions, like our goal is to say, hey, look, again, we're still employing people, because that's a big concern. Everyone's gonna be out, lost of jobs. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Again, it depends
Yeah.
on how people want to utilize AI. They can either use it how we're utilizing it on this project, or maybe there's a next project where it's like, okay, we're just going 100% AI, and we don't, we'll use, or at the very least, we'll go 100% AI. Still use real actors, but we'll use them for motion performance, rather performance capture. So, and that's like, if you've seen Cabin the Kids, like Echo Hunter, looks amazing, but they utilize real SAG actors for the performance capture. And performance capture is what? No difference than any performance capture in any Hollywood movie. Lord of the Rings, Gollum, Precious. That's an actor, really. Andy Serkins, so who also plays Caesar in the Planet of the Apes. All those apes are actors. They're actors, but it's motion cap, a performance
Yeah.
capture. That's where you see behind the scenes they got the whole suit and all the balls and everything to read. Now you don't even need that whole setup. We could just do it right with our motion, use our phone to do without all that, and just record our own performance right now. Like, we could take this footage right now that we have between ourselves and then make it where we're doing Planet of the Apes. it's and it'll only take moments. Like, instead of like, it's just, it's kind of like, how does this not make sense, especially from a filmmaking standpoint? It's, and if you're trying to tell a story at the end goal, like, okay, if you want to be romanticized about the traditional way, fine. You, as long as you can know you can get that money to make it traditionally. But a lot of times getting that money is super hard. So what are you gonna do? Be stubborn and sit on something for years and years and years and maybe decades because you only want to do it this way? Or are you going to explore this as, like, at least I can make this vision happen, because at the very least,
Mhm.
use it, maybe not as a feature, use it as a previs trailer. So people, you can take it to people like how we did with the Witch movie, to get the movie to shoot it basically traditionally. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, utilize the tools the best way and the best strategy that works for you, or don't use it at all. And if you got a problem, like, just don't. Like, this whole thing, I see so much of these people that hate, and the anti-hate people, like, they're so venomous, they're so, like, insulting, and just a bunch of bullies. And it's like, we're just minding our business, and you're coming and attacking. And it's like, if you're so scared, why don't you just learn this shit? Because if anything, especially if you're a traditional artist, this will just help level you up. Like, why wouldn't you want to take your traditional art and then utilize AI to level it up even more? But again, it's just a choice. If you don't like AI, it's not stopping you. Like, people are, I just don't get the hate. People are acting like, if they're a traditional artist or a traditional filmmaker, somehow AI is going to stop them from carrying and creating and doing things the way that they want to do it. It's not. It's like, you don't like AI, don't use it. Simple. But lashing out at strangers, especially online, it's like, come on. I know, like, let me see you talk this way in people's face. Like, we're minding our business, like, showing, hey, this is cool. Look at what's happening. Isn't this amazing? This is bullshit. This is crap. This is slop. This is like there's not actual. You want to call things slop, like traditional art? There's tons of traditional slop art. There's tons of traditional slop movies. So what is that? Like, who? It's silly. And my thing is, you can't stop it. You can't. The genie is out. It's only going to get more powerful. So you might as well just get with it.
Yeah. And I feel like time has flown by so quickly, while we're having this conversation. So maybe we can probably try and end on maybe what you're hoping to see with the future of sort of AI filmmaking, with at the time of recording, with Sea Dance making the rounds and everyone producing all these
I just,
crazy things coming in. Yeah. Well, what's
yeah.
your thoughts? How can we
I
make this
mean,
all work?
I think we all know where it's going. I think this is just another means to make some movie magic, to tell stories, to give from the studio level to the kid that's working in his basement or at home. Everyone has an opportunity now um, to tell their story, to show their vision, to show they're talented. Like there's plenty of AI filmmakers where I look at um, their work as an AI filmmaker. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, this is really, they're really taking advantage of innovating. It's about who are the pioneers. I think everyone who is, because just like CG, remember there was all the pushback when CG first came out, all the practical side. And, I can understand it again. You're fucking with people's livelihood, right? Sorry about that. But you're messing, people feel, oh, CG is taken away from the practical. And yeah, it did impact the industry. But anyone, if you're in the even industrial lights and magic, they adapted. They still do practical, but they were like, you know what, we better learn this CGI too. Because this is where, and it went from, George Lucas was one of the first, and it, well, I forgot which of the Star Wars ones, and yeah, it looked, it looked like CG, it looked, cartoony, but he didn't wait until everyone, he just jumped in and took advantage. And I think everyone right now, this is the time to jump in and to publicly be like, yes, I'm doing it. I want to be the pioneer that shows how it's done, not just the follower after everyone's accepted it. Like CG, now everyone's doing CG, and then it's like, oh, when you do see practical, like I think the last Alien movie used a lot of practical. So it was like, oh, look, and that's cool because practical is great. And I think just like with CG and practical, is if especially if you do like a nice mixture, like Jurassic Park had that mix of CG and practical, like the T Rex. The reason it looks so great even today because they did it really well where they merged the two. And I think it's the same with AI. There's a great way where you can merge old school, new school, middle school, and put it all together. If you want to do it like that way, or you just go all AI, and like I said, mainstream doesn't care how it's done. You look at like just real quick how I know mainstream doesn't care. Look at like you got these influencers, AI model, especially the female influencers or models on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. All you gotta do is look. They got 1 million followers, thousands and thousands of comments. It already says AI within it that they're AI. But you know what? People don't care. They're leaving the same comments on there as if they were a regular real person. They're like because people as humans, if it looks real enough, we're sold. That's it. We're sold. Just like, once we fully get into the VR world where we're going to be like Matrix, where we can really touch and taste. And, as long as we perceive it's real, that's all that matters. And that's the sell. And that's why I say mainstream will accept this. And because they just want you, you just got to sell the illusion. That's it. If it looks real enough,
Yeah.
boom. Especially when it comes to movies. People, they won't care. If you make a movie, even Guillermo, I know what he's waiting for. He's waiting for that one AI project that really blows him away. You don't tell him it's AI. You just little bit, and he goes, "Oh, that was so emotional. This had so much heart." And be like, "Yeah, it was AI," and he'll be like, "What?" Then he'll understand it, right? Then he'll get it.
They-
But you can have
Yeah.
it a little pushback, and you know what? That's fine for right now. That's always expected. But
Yeah.
you just gotta say, we know where this is going. You have to have that conviction and say, you know what? Hate all you want. This is where it's going, and this is where it's at, and it makes sense. And again, just to end with anything, and again, going with the industry is going to fully adapt this. The industry is fully going to adapt it. It's already in motion. A lot of these companies are bringing on AI technologists.
Mhm.
They know what's up. They know
Even Disney
they're
was
just
surprised to
really
see.
waiting. What they're really waiting for, like hopefully if we can pull it off to show how to properly do it, they just need someone who's
Yeah.
really gonna be like, boom. They'll, everyone's the industry and the people are funny. They always like everyone wants to do it, but they just want to see who can do it first successfully. Then everyone's like, well, they did it successfully, especially if it makes a bunch of money. Then they're like, okay, we'll all jump on and do it. but I never like being a follower. I like being a leader and a pioneer and
Yeah.
saying, hey, look, I've always had conviction in it. You have conviction in it. Everyone within the
Mhm.
community knows where it is. It's something more than people are letting on. There's more to it. It's not just writing a prompt. I mean, sure, you can do that. Sure, you could do surface level, just a regular prompt or whatever. But it depends on how far you want to push the tech or how far you want to go with it, how you want to use it, what type of story you want to tell. Like how the more that you incorporate anything really makes it more than just typing a prompt. It takes talent, it takes vision, it takes taste, it takes knowing what the fuck what you're doing. It takes it. That's what it really takes. So that's where we're at.
Awesome. Well, great for you. Great to have you on the episode. You shared lots of great insight, and there's so much to talk about. And I feel like we could carry on for hours, but unfortunately, we are trying to keep the episode short, so we'll have to cut it there. But maybe we'll give you a last minute, maybe if people have any more questions or they want to talk a little bit more about some of the stuff you discuss, like what's the best place to reach you, and how can they find you and see you follow some of your works as well.
To the volume drop. They can find me on email,
Sure.
laststop2006@gmail.com. I'm also on IG under X Mr. White, was X Mr. underscore White X.
Yeah.
That's where all my AI videos and artwork and
Yeah.
everything is at. So those are two ways. Or if they can find me on LinkedIn, I'm lurking around there
Nice.
too.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, we'll be sure to include all those links in the episode description. So, yeah, once again, great to have you here, Chris, and to all listeners, thank you for sticking around to this point. And yeah, have a great day.
Yeah, thank you,
Bye.
Brian. Great.
Likewise.